And welcome back, everybody. Nestle in Fulton, New York, How Sweet It Was. That is the book cover, and Jim Farfaglia is the author, and we welcome him back again on his fourth book. And the book that you did on the blizzard of '66, is that still in print?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My bestseller.
Well, there's, I went through the blizzard of '66, so I can understand the interest in that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal interest, and everybody has a story, so it's great.
Yeah. The Nestle people, the people that worked at the company, I saw a picture in the book of a worker, and he was in a shoe store, and most of them wore uniforms, did they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, uniform was required, and one of the things that Nestle did for their employees was offer those kinds of things at a discounted price. So that was actually a shoe store. I don't know if we have a picture, but they had a company store where they could buy Nestle products at a greatly reduced price. So, Nestle families could stock up on their morsels or whatever, things like that. Yeah, that picture that was just up was the wrapping department, which was a big part of the process, as you can imagine. Wrapping all those candy bars and such. Yeah,
and I think we've got 4 more pictures. We'll take a look at those as we proceed through the history of the Nestle company. And it looks like a conveyor system there.
That's to sort of show that 1 million pounds of product a day. Here's an interesting tidbit about Nestle. Nestle produced the chocolate that was used by companies like Russell Stover, Fannie Farmer, those higher quality, if you will, chocolate. The base of their product was made at Nestle in Fulton, and then they would do what they needed to do to make their product unique. But it was all made at that Fulton factory.
Yeah, what's chocolate like in this country now? What's the chocolate market like now? Do we do a lot of United States chocolate?
Part of the reason Nestle got out of the business is chocolate consumption has gone way down because it's now considered junk food, right? In the early days, it was like an energy bar or... But as more and more science about sugar and calories, chocolate consumption is down.
Yeah, I don't consider it a junk food, just so you know, Jim.
No, I enjoy a good chocolate bar whenever I can.
Yeah. The people that got impacted when the company closed down, what did they do? What happened out in Fulton? That must have been a tremendous economic blow.
Yeah, it was. And I do address that in the book. It's certainly not the favorite part of my book because it was a sad part. And I try to balance it equally in the book because Nestle did pull out of Fulton, and that devastated over 550 families. That were, at that time, the employment had gone down considerably, but 550 families were out of work. But it was a business decision, and chocolate wasn't selling. It was an old factory. It was over 100 years old, so they had reasons to move out. But it was devastating to our population, certainly.
And not just to the employees, but to the farmers.
Yep, dairy farmers, they lost that outlet. So it was probably, we've lost a lot of industry, which much of the Northeast has, what they call the Rust Belt. A lot of factories closing down. But Nestle was kind of the final blow, because that employed a lot of people.
I think Tom's got a couple more pictures back there that we'll take a look at. The company itself.
Here's the sugar silos, one of my favorite pictures. So imagine that's like a farm silo, but made of concrete and lined with wood inside, and it held millions of pounds of sugar because let's face it, primarily a chocolate bar. It starts with sugar.
Yeah. The company itself, Nestle, are they in the United States at all anymore?
Well, like I said, they sell bottled water. They sell.
But do they do that here?
In the United States, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They still have factories.
In fact, they're very big in bottled water, aren't they?
Oh yeah, that's one of their primary sellers. Yeah. Yep. At one time, over 300 products, Nestle products, were made at the Fulton plant. Just boggles my mind. And that includes everything. Every different size of morsel bag and every different flavor. That's a different product, if you will. Those 10-pound chocolate bricks that were sent to Fannie Farmer, that's another of those 300, but 300 different products made by Nestle at that Fulton factory. Many of them invented right there.
When you say invented, their employees came up with ideas like for a Nestle's Crunch Bar.
Yeah, well, there's a myth by that. I'd like to share that with you. Apparently, one of the workers high up in the ranks at Nestle Company used to take chunks of chocolate home, melt it down, and put in Rice Krispies, and then cool it, and it became a treat. And his family loved it. They ended up bringing it back to the factory, and then, of course, it took years to develop the actual ingredients for the Crunch Bar, but that's how the Crunch Bar was invented. Oh. Yeah, they actually had a department, a laboratory that experimented. Took over 10 years to create Nestle Quick. Mm-hmm. So these were not instant. There we go. There's that factory, somebody working on developing a product, starting with a microscope and then moving out from there. They had their own little kitchen there where they did mini versions of producing the chocolate.
Yeah. Was there one thing in particular or a couple things in particular, Jim, that surprised you when you were doing the research for the book?
Absolutely. It was that family feeling. It boggled my mind. So I actually have a chapter of the book where I try to cover that. Nestle did incredible things, and I know that most companies try to take care of their employees, but Nestle really went above.
Well, not all of them.
Nestle really went above and beyond. They had a recreation park, acres and acres of land that was for their employees to use for recreational purposes. They had what was called a quarter century club. Once you worked 25 years there, you got an assortment of memorabilia, watches, bracelets, clocks, and then they threw a big banquet for those people, all paid for by Nestle, to honor them. They really welcomed people's ideas. There was always incentives to offer new candy bar ideas. So that family feeling, it just boggled my mind how in a factory of 1,500 people, it could feel like a family.
You know, when you were talking, I was thinking back to a recent trip that I made to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And there's a lot of similarities between Nestle and how they treated their people and how Mr. Hershey treated his.
Well, you know, from what I've been told, it's really a Switzerland or a European concept of you treat your employees like family, and that was carried on when they got here. Yeah, you know, we're hoping in Fulton to model ourselves after Hershey and start a museum of some sort to collect all this memorabilia, to maybe recreate how chocolate was made in the factory. Because we know Nestle's has done a nice job with that.
You told me, but I've forgotten already. The company closed down in Fulton what year?
2003.
Yeah, so you've got a little time to collect stuff, but as the years go by, that stuff is going to get harder and harder to get.
Well, unfortunately, you know, every week in the obituaries, somebody will pass away that worked many years at Nestle. So we're losing that history. It's part of the reason why I wrote the book, too, is to preserve those memories. But those people also have memorabilia in their homes, too.
And there's the book. It's for sale at Barnes & Noble's locally, and it's for sale on Amazon. And what was the name of that bookstore out your way?
Rivers End Bookstore in Oswego.
Oswego, and it's $21.99, and personalized copies can be obtained. I don't know if they...
At the Rivers End.
At the Rivers Edge book. And come back and see us again, will you, when you get that next book done. Jane Spellman is involved with that, right?
Well, yeah, Jane Spellman's father founded the camp that I'm going to write about,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again. That's it for us this week. We'll do it again next week. Till then, take care of yourself, everybody.